And welcome everyone. Italk 106.7 FM, the voice of the mountain. I'm your host, Jineane Ford, and it is Friday. Hope you've had a great week. And on the line right now, I have Congressman Andy Biggs doing all kinds of crazy work back in Washington, D.C. Congressman Biggs, how are you today?
I'm terrific, Jineane. I hope you are too.
Good. Thank you so much for calling in. You know what? Yesterday, in yesterday's show, we touched on your run for governor and what made you decide to do this. And I wanted to ask you too: is your wife Cindy? And of course, I have to mention to everybody, you know, they live in Gilbert. You guys know I'm a Gilbert girl, and Andy Biggs is Arizona homegrown. Are you and Cindy excited about this prospect of becoming governor?
We are. I mean, you know how it is. You struggle with the decision. Is this the right thing to do? You pray about it, you think about it, and we feel very, very comfortable with the decision and actually working enthusiastically. So Cindy's all in, and my family's all in. We talked to them all before we made the decision. And you know, I've got grown kids, I've got grandkids, and but everybody was all in.
That's so wonderful. I know I don't stalk you or anything, but I've seen all your posts on Facebook. You're very active, and it's really good. So I follow you, and I've seen your beautiful. Your family is just beautiful. And I will say that one thing about Congressman Biggs that I love is back when I was working at PCT and your friend Steve Utsi and both of ours, and patent infringement. I mean, you were so open to talking to us, to helping us, and we got some stuff done. And that's a constant battle. I mean, there's so many fronts that you've been battling on for so many years. So coming back to the state, that would be huge.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's a great state. Should be the best in the country. I mean, we have the potential to be the best in the country. We've got natural resources. The people are great. Our climate and weather's superb. I always say we have a coastline, even, and people are like, we don't have a coastline. The Colorado River. I mean, you can go over there.
Yes, we do. And what I love about Arizona, we're on solid ground. We are on solid ground here, yes. And the other thing I wanted to ask you, this year's going to, and I know you haven't made any announcements or anything yet, and we don't know, but this year's going to be a little different. There's going to be a lieutenant governor, correct?
Yeah, there is. This will be the first time in our state history to have a lieutenant governor, and I've talked to legal experts. I've read it. I will tell you, Jineane, everybody's got a little bit different opinion how it works, but we'll have a chance to actually define how that process works and the duties of a new lieutenant governor.
So how soon before you announce who the lieutenant governor is, or how does that work? It'll be before the primaries, I assume?
Oh, absolutely, and it's really early yet, and so and I've been approached. I have not approached anybody about being lieutenant governor, but I've been approached by a number of people, very qualified people, who are interested in serving as lieutenant governor, and I'm going to do the vetting. I'm going to do the consideration, and I would guess maybe. Certainly, probably 10 months before the election somewhere would be right about the time when it's ripe to do that.
Very cool. Very awesome. Okay. Well, I'm super excited for it. And like I mentioned before, my girlfriends are already making T-shirts for you guys. And I think it's their own homemade ones. But what other things do you want our listeners to know about your run for governor?
Well, I mean, I want everybody to know that this is a very winnable race for us, and the polls indicate very clearly that I'm up, and right now I'm a little slightly ahead of Katie Hobbs in one poll, even with her in another poll. Those are independent polls. I've done no polling myself. This is just independent polls, and the thing is, when we go to day one, we're going to be out of the chute. One thing that Donald Trump has taught us is that you need to come in ready to rock and roll. And so on day one, we're going to open up an AZ-DOGE effort to go through our agencies and our departments, make sure that there's not fraud, waste, or duplication, and clean up whatever we can there. Then also, this is why it's important to have somebody who knows how the process works. We're going to encourage our legislators to pre-file certain pieces of legislation, such as the election integrity package that they just had vetoed by Governor Hobbs a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good package. But if we do that, we can have that out of committees, off the floor within the first week, and into my office as governor to get that signed into the first week.
Wow.
Those are the things that I intend for us to do, is to just move very quickly. I already know, for instance, where I would go for a border czar. We'd be talking about working with our sheriffs and DPS on the Border Security Task Force, which has been emasculated by this particular governor. I mean, there's so many things that she has done. I'm working with the water community, trying to prepare for that, because, as you know, water is integral to our success economically and our lifestyle in Arizona. So I'm going to be ready to go on day one, and that's the key. Out of the chute, let's get going, and because you want to turn this around as quickly as you can, and help our economy, and help our education, and help our border security, and our safety for the citizens, and help our infrastructure. There's a lot to be done in this state.
Yes,
but
yes.
It's going to be we want to make Arizona have this golden era, the way I think the country is going to be going in over the next few years.
See, that's so, and you know what's interesting is it sounds like how Trump's playbook. He came in and it looked like he'd been getting ready for it for a long time, and just yes. you want to hit it running. I wonder how many politicians are going to start doing that now and just think about, be ready to go on day one.
Right. I think what happens is when you get to campaigning and you're campaigning, sometimes you forget to plan what the policy is going to be, and how in the process and the strategy to get your policy through. But if you can't get your policy through, then you're just a hat rack, frankly. So you got to be ready to rock and roll. And Trump if anybody's shown us that, it's Donald Trump.
Yes, exactly. And then also you mentioned something about education right there, and how Trump is sending this more back to the states. That's in Arizona being, where we can go where we want with our kids, that people are terrified every time, like when Katie Hobbs got in, that we were going to lose that choice. Education, right. It could be, just bringing it back to the states could be so much better, correct?
100%, and Arizona is uniquely situated there because we're already one of the leaders on educational choice, and it's Arizona, maybe Florida, some of the other states are trying to catch up, but we're going to be ready to rock and roll. If you had the governor that would be ready to rock and roll,
yeah,
and and we want to make sure that every kid can get the best, most robust educational opportunities they can, and there's going to be some trimming and cleanup that we have to do within our own state to make that work. But we want a solid educational opportunity for every child. That is the great equalizer. Education is the great equalizer for everybody in this country, and Arizona should be at the top. I mean, we have some of the top schools in the country and some of the worst schools in the country in the state. There's no reason that all of us should not be trying to attain to the highest possible level that we can.
Yes, so true, so true. Okay, anything else you want to touch on for our listeners? And mainly up here in the White Mountains, do you have any concerns or things that you're going to really, really help with?
I'm really concerned about the wind farms up there that you guys have been educating me on. I'd seen it elsewhere. I did not know that it was happening here. So two things that Arizona needs to do. The feds really need to step in here too. And I do think that eliminating the subsidies, federal subsidies for purchase of land, material, et cetera, for these wind farms. And people need to understand what a wind farm does. You're talking about they don't last forever, and then you're going to have massive amounts of wind farm debris, quite frankly, that you have to deal with. But the bottom line is those subsidies are going away, or they're supposed to be going away. I've been told by this administration they're going away. And so you have to take care of that. And the other thing is we have to make sure that, and I'm trying to work on some initiatives with regard to more connectivity in rural Arizona and the rural parts of the country, you've got some opportunities that
would help a lot. Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to work behind the scenes on it. It's all behind the scenes right now, so I can't really reveal what we're working on because it takes a lot of cooperation from a lot of partners. And
there's stuff. Yeah, the biggest stuff up here right now, of course, you mentioned the windmills, and the other big one that everyone's traumatized over right now is our insurance rates. What's happened is, I'll use myself as an example. Our house is, Taylor, Snowflake, how some of those areas are just dirt. We have 8 acres and our horses, but we're in the middle of the dirt. We don't have trees. We have nothing like that, right? And ours went up $225 a month. Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
Everyone up here, there are people that have their policies have just been canceled in the White Mountains, and it looks like it's looking like we're paying what Walt Blackman, he has a bill down there right now with insurance companies he's trying to fight through, and he said that we're having to pay for everybody else, all these fires in California, and everybody, like insurance carriers are diving out. So some people are finding, gosh, I can't even sell my house because I can't afford my insurance. What happens, So that's a big one. And then we spoke with a lady. I was talking to you about windmills. We spoke with a gal from the Board of Realtors in southern Oklahoma. And this is kind of scary. I guess they've had threats because the windmills, Utah has bills right now trying to stop windmills, as well as Arizona and New Mexico. All right. Very similar to Dave Marshall's bill. Is being heard this week again. It had failed and with amendments is being heard again. But this lady with the Board of Realtors, she's sending us information from southern Oklahoma, and she wants to remain anonymous because they all have had such threats. This is super interesting because that's where the earlier adapters, southern Oklahoma and northern Texas, property values decreased 43% within 5 miles. And those were windmills that are just 250 feet tall. Now they're 600 feet tall, the new ones.
Wow.
And when the wind farms were shut down and abandoned, the properties within 5 miles, their property value 50% down. And that's where Trump's getting some of his numbers of 50% down. And she's sending us all of her information, but she wants to remain anonymous. She said, please understand, we've had a lot of threats. And so that's the saddest thing, is that property values just plummet. And in our county, in Navajo, Board of Supervisors thinks that a half mile is plenty. We're fine. You know what I mean? So it's
wow.
like in Navajo and Apache County. So now there's a group that's gathering money to start to produce radio commercials, and they'll probably buy spots from me to say, buyer beware, don't buy in Snowflake, Taylor, northern Arizona, because they're not giving us maps of where we'd be safe away from windmills. So you gotta, and the board, like realtors are being really quiet. They haven't put it on their disclosure statements. You know what I mean? That, there's a windmill farm across from you on Paper Mill Road. You know what I mean? Going in.
Right.
So that's going to create a big, ugly monster. But all righty. So we are super excited that maybe you're going to come back, and all this great knowledge you've gained in Washington, and you have all the connections, then you could come here to Arizona and be really effective, right?
That's the plan.
That's the plan. And
that is the plan.
And is most of your family, looking at your beautiful family, do most of them live in Arizona still?
I've got half live in Arizona, and the other half I got California, New York City, Virginia, North Carolina, because one's married to an Army Ranger.
Nice.
They're in North Carolina. So, but yeah, they're all over. Doing well, but I've got some right here in Gilbert with us still.
Sweet. At home in Gilbert. And I'll tell you what, I do. I love Gilbert, love the valley still, run back and forth. And we keep a little house in Mesa along with being up here in the White Mountains. And we so appreciate you and all the hard work you're doing. And thank you so much for calling in. And anytime you want to call in and give me updates, okay? Because you guys are facing a lot of stuff back there in Washington that you're working on.
Will do. Thank you for what you're doing, and thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
Okay. Congressman Andy Biggs for governor, everybody. You heard it here on Italk 106.7 FM, the voice of the mountain. See, I'm allowed to do that. I'm allowed to say what I want to say now. It's really funny. For years I was in the journalism thing, down there in the valley, that where we
right.
could not, we were very right down the middle. We had to be, and now I don't have to anymore. Yeah, we have a conservative radio talk show, and I can do what I want.
Yeah, it's liberating, isn't it?
It's kind of fun, yeah. All right, thank you so much, Congressman Andy Biggs. Everybody keep it right here. You're listening to Italk 106.7 FM, the voice of the mountain.